Let's jump right into the controls and see what goes on to define all the time and distances that create the structure of the rally. We're looking at this block right down here, which will be handled mostly during the setup, and we can look right at the create, edit, delete. Now what we're seeing here is we have our top menu bar. We can still of course see cards, logs, and jump to the uploads. We're on edit controls. We can also jump over to the stage schedule, do a stage wizard to create a stage quickly, and then connect all of the controls to their appropriate championships. Here we have the order. This keeps everything. You can move controls in and out as needed. You just change the order and then they will switch. So if we make this here and this here, we can swap those two controls. It is sometimes difficult to move them if there's no room, so what we can do is we can expand the control order here. It just multiplies by 10, and then if we do something like that, it'll move, and the collapsing of sort orders just starts counting them sequentially, one all the way back up. So what we're looking at is each section corresponds to one time card. So here is all the way up to the first service. If we scroll down a little bit, we see that this starts at, section 2 starts at service in, where they would swap the cards. And if we looked at any particular racer, we would see that here is the card from TC0 up to SS3. So, and here we have from TC0 up to SS3. So this is one time card's worth of information. So you have all of the abbreviations, and this is what you will see when you're looking at various parts of the software. All of the reports use the abbreviations. And then it is the finish, the stage finish abbreviation that actually gets pushed out to the public results. So as far as which control you end up calling SS1 or SS2, it should be the finish. And we use time control 1 and then 1S. For the start. These are customizable. You don't have to do them that way, but this is the way that the stage wizard generates them. Here we have the amount to the next control. So this would be 20 minutes for the first transit to the first stage, going a distance of 10 miles. And we're all on day 1 and section 1. So we can see that as we switch sections, it automatically puts in a new header for us so we can keep track of everything. And same here when we switch sections to a new day. So this first due, this is the time that cars will be getting to each of these places based on these numbers. This very first one is actually set in the setup of the entire event. This 831 is coming from there, and all of the rest come from doing the math. So we have one permutation that we need to look at, and that is going from one day to another day. From this time, about noon, to 9:01 the next day, it's 1224 minutes. So if you need to do multiple days, you just pretty much guess at a big number and adjust it until it comes out to what you need, and then you'll have the correct number of minutes to get to the next day, and that's essentially time of day that it resets. One thing to note is that at the very bottom of all of these, this is where we could put in any new controls. So we have a section here. We could do 35, and maybe we could put in a park expose in PE1 and park expose, and in this case it'd be, I don't know, maybe you'd stay there for 2 hours, and it's 0 miles away, and it's day 2, section 4. So we just do that, and there it is. Here it is. There's our next piece. And if we don't need that, we can get rid of it also. So we just confirm that deletion, and then it has been deleted. So all of the available types of controls, that changes how that control is scored as far as any timing penalties. So Most of them, a stage arrival, service in, service out, regroup in, regroup out, they all work the same. They all generate timing penalties based on the rules of setup and setup. A few of them don't. There's no penalties for being late at a start. You checked in at an arrival. And same for a finish. There's no timing penalty. It just calculates the elapsed time. So there are two that we need to look at here that are used quite a bit, and that is the pending and ignored. So for stage arrivals, by default, they are set to pending when you create a stage with a stage wizard, and that's intentional. And what that means is they won't actually be generating any penalties. In the beginning of the rally, you just want to get some stage times out and get some preliminary scores up. You may not have all of the data for those arrivals, so we're just going to say we're not going to do them yet. And a good way to look at this is, and note, it warns us here, hey, you've got one thing that you need to take care of. We could look at the map of times entered, and we say, okay, this is TC1, this is the arrival. Now that this is all green and we have scores for all of this, now is a good time to go set that, change it from pending to an arrival control. And the other possibility is actually ignored. So any control could be set to ignored. This would be the case if you had, say, a force majeure situation where the entire stage was scrubbed and the clerk of the course just told you to wave in all of those people and that there would be no penalties. You could set the control to be ignored, which has the same end result as pending, and that's not scored, but there are no warnings here to remind you to come back to that. So that is how this piece works. Now, once you've built all this, and as you go along, make sure this matches up the schedule that you're given by the people that designed the course, and that's the easiest way to do the checking. But you can also view it just as a stage schedule, and this has all of the controls and sort of breaks them down by section. We have this printable version here, and what it does is it takes the arrival controls, takes them out, since those usually aren't shown in a published schedule. So if we look at that printable version, this is what you would typically see being used in the subregs. And what we can do is actually, if we do the print preview here, you'll notice it takes out the top border, all of the menu stuff, and it does the pages based on days. So this is what you could export to PDF and then merge in with the PDF that is the subregs. So very handy to have that there to make sure that what is in scoring matches the official documentation. So the easiest way to add a whole stage, which is going to be, we could put in all three different kinds, the three controls for each stage, but we can also use the stage wizard. So this is if we want to add stage 10, and maybe Hilltop, we'll call it, and we'll give them 10 minutes for the stage, 20 minutes for the transit. We'll say it's a 7.5 mile stage and a 15.8 mile transit, and there you go, click, and it has created the stage. Now if we go and look at the edit controls and scroll to the bottom, here is our Hilltop arrival, start and finish, pending, start and finish. It's added to the end here, and it's put in these distances and automatically given us the 3 minutes and 0 miles just for the arrival, the distance from the arrival to the start. So that handles doing the stage wizard. So if you need to add a bunch of stages, that's the fastest way. And once you have those stages, you'll need to connect them to the championships that they are working with. So we see that we have 3 controls not connected. Those are the 3 we just made. So if we take a look at that, and here we have all of the available championships. Now these are defined dynamically in the setup. If we quickly jump over to championships and classes just here. So here are the championships that we've defined, and then for each of them we can have whatever classes we need and connect them. So for those championships, think of them not necessarily as a season-long championship, but just something that you are creating the results for. Like for instance, we have the Atlantic Rally Cup, and it is connected to all of the controls for day 1 and day 2. And then we have this day 1 championship, which might have a different name, and then we have a day 2 championship. And so only the controls that are connected to that championship will get scored as far as producing those results. We've created a historic championship, which might be this event only, and we said we're only actually going to have them run the last 2 stages. So for this new stage that we've created, we say we're going to add it to the ARC and nothing else. Maybe those guys don't run it, or maybe it got canceled for them, and so we can update the connections there. And once we do, the warning about having unconnected controls goes away. And so one thing to keep in mind is that even if you have this set up beforehand, there might be a reason to disconnect these things as you go along. You know, for instance, if you had multiple stages get canceled, you could actually disconnect them from what you're doing, and they would just disappear from the published results. You'd still keep all of those times in the system, but they wouldn't be considered for scoring or anything else. So that is a kind of advanced way to use these championships. So now that that's done, we should notice that this top bar, Edit, Schedule, Stage Wizard, and Connect, which we're on right now, these are the same things we can see here. Edit, Stage Wizard, Schedule, View, and Connect. So that is how to do the controls for the NASA Rally Sport scoring software.